Have you ever wished you had either more time, more energy, more money, or a better relationship? Today, I want to talk about how to live life on your terms. We're talking about more time, more energy, better relationships, more money, and the key that wraps it all up together, enjoying your own success, living life on your terms, time, energy, relationships, money, and success. Now, I know I just want to address this right off the bat. Some people are going to say, I don't think I should live life on my terms. I think I should live life on God's terms. And I would say, what is the difference? If you are following God, what's the difference? It's going to be the same. If your heart is aligned with God's heart, if your desires are aligned with God's desires, then your terms and God's terms are going to align. And when they are not aligned, then it's because there's a mistake somewhere. Because why wouldn't we want to live life on God's terms? God being the creator of the universe, who has put principles in place that rule and guide the world, that has revealed strategies of success in his word that work equally well for everyone. Okay, so I want to kind of like, I don't know, dispel the myth, I guess. And maybe this would be a second, different video totally of what altogether. But to dispel the myth that there's this in crowd and this out crowd, because God created all of us. There's that number one. He puts an aspect of his nature into all of us. He gives principles that rule the world. The Bible says it rains on the just and the unjust. He makes his sun to shine on the just and the unjust. So there's an aspect where principles are ruling the world. And then there's the talk about how to have good success. This book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth, but you shall meditate therein day and night, that you may be able to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. So living life on your terms is all about managing your time, your energy, your relationships, your money for good success. And the best strategies, the ones that work, the ones that obviously work well, are the ones that were given to us by our own creator, and also that do not go against his principles, which his strategies do not go against his principles. So all of that to say, there is a very, very logical way that all of this works together. And sometimes I think we approach our spiritual life as like this mystical walk of faith, which there are times. There's no doubt. There's times when the mystical walk of faith happens. I always think about Peter walking on the water. The laws of nature and nature's God were suspended for a second so that Peter could walk on the water until his fear took him down. But those things happened for a reason, for our benefit. Okay, that was a little bit of a side tangent. So, talk about living life on your terms. So, raise your hand if this has ever happened to you. You fall into the temptation to compare your life to somebody else's on social media. You're scrolling through and you're like, oh, must be nice to have that vacation. Ooh, must be nice. Look, all of their kids are in a family photo and they're all smiling and they all look happy to be there. Whereas the last time I took a family photo, I pretty much had to bribe my kids to show up. This is trying to live our life on somebody else's terms. Like, we're comparing our experience to what we perceive their experience to be. And most likely, that snapshot of that moment, I'm telling you guys a true story. I bribed my kids to get a family photo with me. I mean, I'm just so glad it happened. I'm not bragging about it. I'm just saying, this is me living life on my terms. Hey, whatever it takes, I want a picture of us. How can I make it worth your while to give up some of your precious time for a goal of mine? So We made a deal, got the picture. It was wonderful. That's what I'm talking about in a very, very humorous way. So, living life on your terms, I want to break it down. Of course, we look at other people's lives and we think that it might be better. And while we are looking at somebody else's life, then we're missing the opportunity to actually make our life better. And so when I say this, make your life better, everybody's like, what do you mean? How do you start? Where do I even start? It's so overwhelming. All right. I'm going to tell you exactly where to start in just a second. But first of all, I just want to dive into the mistakes that we make a little bit more. So, mistake number one, we think that our desire for a better life is sinful. And again, this could be a whole entire topic, but I just want to say this quickly. There is a difference between complacency and contentment. And contentment, people think contentment is being satisfied and then sitting down. No, contentment is this I am satisfied. It's almost like I am satisfied with today's effort, with where I am tomorrow, with where I am today, and also tomorrow. I think it was in James that they said, go to you that say, hey, let's go and sell and trade in this city for the next year. And he said, you ought to say, if the Lord wills, we'll do that. Because what is our life? It's even a vapor. So we don't know the time we have. And we want to pay attention to how we are using it. All right. So number one, thinking our desire for better is sinful. That'll stop us from growing. That'll keep us trapped. By the way, that's a lie in the enemy. Because if he can make you complacent, then you'll stop. You'll stop working in the kingdom. All right. Number two, thinking someone else's way is the better way, which also kind of ties together the third one, thinking God has only one way. So thinking someone else's way is the better way, or thinking God has only one way. Look, there are many examples in the Bible, if you'll look for them, that shows how individualistic God created us and how we can use that unique aspect of his creativity that he has placed in us to live out our calling with purpose and with confidence. The first one that I always that comes to my mind is the comparison between John the Baptist and Jesus. And, look, the way John the Baptist talked, the way John the Baptist dressed, the way John the Baptist ate, the message of John the Baptist, all of those were completely different from Jesus, who came right after him. They lived at the same time. They were contemporaries. They were cousins. But God had created them with two different complementary messages. And he had created them unique. And so everything they did was different and yet complementary for God's purpose. And we can't always understand God's purpose. But I can promise this, the more we lean into being our unique creative way, then the more we will see God's purpose on the other side of being that. So that third mistake, thinking God has only one way. Here is an example. My daughter fell into a social media debate. She's single. And there was a post that somebody had made on one of the platforms about, married Christian women apologize to single women. And she took exception to that, and I got sucked right in with her because I'm like, I took exception for her behalf because the post, whether the author intended it or not, made it sound like, hey, I'm sorry that you're not happy being single. And I'm sorry that I promised that if you would just be content during this season of life, you'll eventually get married. And it's like, wait a minute. Why are you assuming that I'm not happy? Should I not be happy? Should I wait to be happy until I get married? Thinking God has only one way, that gets us in a hurry. I remember believing this when I was my daughter's age, and that made me in a hurry to, hey, I can't be happy until I get married. So, why did I go to Bible college? Did I go to learn more about God's word? Yes, there's a part of that. And there was also a part that really wanted to get married. And where else to meet a fine young man except at Bible college? Oh, see how when we think God has only one way, then we rush through our seasons of life, or we do things somebody else's way. Or then you would have John the Baptist looking at Jesus saying, oh my goodness, he talks in a different manner than me. I need to clean up my language. I need to clean up my manner. I need to eat better. Or maybe Jesus saying, I need to eat locusts like John does and wear a hairy loincloth or whatever he wore, a coat of camel's hair. That's what it was. You guys, I did not prepare that example in advance. All right. So when you think about God has only one way, I actually want you to think about it this way. God created us with an aspect of his nature. And then God created principles that govern the world, the principles of time and space and matter. And those rule the world equally. We can't even affect those. I mean, we all submit to a gravity, whether we want to or not. Only God himself can overrule those. Then God gave us his word, and he reveals strategies of success in his word. And then there's the lowest level is the tactics we try to put into place those strategies of success, to implement those strategies so that will maximize your success. And those tactics are actually kind of an aspect of our creativity that reveals the essence that God created in us. So let me give you an example to kind of make make all sense. That sentence did not make sense. Let me say it again. Let me give you an example, and hopefully that will help this illustration make sense. All right, let's talk about time management. So time management, we all have 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. God set time principles in place, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 and some odd weeks a year. His strategy of success, and he's got multiple ones on the subject of time, but one of them is work 6 days, take a rest on the 7th. Okay. And we can see the logic in we cannot be working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But his strategy of success is work 6 days, rest on the 7th. Another strategy of success that he has is redeem your time to have more time. Redeeming your time for the days are evil. Buy back your time so that you have more of it. Okay, so his strategy. Now let's talk about my tactic. Okay, my tactic is free will. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about tactics. So the way God made me, there is an aspect of my nature that is very much driven for less is more. Now, there's other people, one of my sisters, some of my friends, they're maximizers, like more is more and let's make more. And I'm like, whoa, that feels overwhelming because God created me to crave more simplicity. Less is more. Now, is my way the only way and the right way? No, it's a tactic that I use to work 6 days, rest on the 7th, and redeem my time to have more time. So here's how I do it. This is my tactic, okay? The fewer things that I do, the more time I can devote to them. The more time I devote to them, the better I get at them. The better I get at them, the more expert I am, and I am perceived. The more expert I am, then the more money I can make doing them for others. And then when I make money doing those things for others, then I can hire others to do things that I'm not actually good at, but I need done, but that they're expert at. So I use that leverage of spend money to get more time in a day. That is what I'm talking about, living life on your terms. You take your creative essence And then in these 5 terms, you use your creativity that God has placed in you to make your life better by using His strategies that are found in His Word, His principles that already rule the world, to express your essence in a better way and to bring honor and glory to His name in the expression of your essence. Okay? So let's talk about where you should start when living life on your terms, or what you need, the keys that you need to believe to really, because it's not a step-by-step thing. It's more a belief by belief progression. And the more you believe it, the better you'll do it. All right? Living life on your terms. Number 1, start with owning your time. Now, this may be the hardest one to believe, that we own our own time. I remember not believing that I owned my own time until my coach told me, your time is yours to do with what you want. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. People need me. And she's like, you have the right to say yes or no. And I'm like, what? But it's true. Owning your time is actually an expression of your autonomy, your created being, your recognizing that God gave you free will. If we don't own our time, we will begrudge the time that others take from us. You know, I love that verse in the Bible that talks about when we give, it's not of necessity, for God loves a cheerful giver. When we believe that we don't own our time, then we believe that other people are ruling over our time. And then when we believe that other people are ruling over our time, then we become a victim. And then we begrudge the time. When we don't own our yeses or nos, then we give reluctant yeses and we can't be a cheerful giver. So the key is to own our time. Once we own that our time is ours to decide, then we're ready for that next step, managing your energy. So own your time, number 1. Number 2, manage your own energy. Y'all, this is what you need to know. My husband has 10 times the level of energy that I do in most areas. He's stronger than me. He's faster than me. He likes doing things more than me. Okay, here's an example. So we both decided to do walking challenges this year. Okay, he's in a group and they're trying to gain points by walking. He and another guy, and they're tracking their miles. I got a Fitbit for Christmas and decided I want to have a goal of walking 10,000 steps a day, 5 days a week. I've hit that for most of the time. 10,000 steps, that's like 3 miles for me, I think. Okay. So I walk about almost maybe 3 miles a day, 5 days a week. So that adds up to 15 miles a week on a good week when I hit my goals. Okay. In this month of February, and I'm recording this on February 20th, so we're 20 days into the month, my husband, for a side challenge with another guy, he and the guy together have walked 216 miles. 216. By the way, 40 of those belong to the other guy. The rest are my husband's. He's walked so many more miles than me. It's unbelievable. Okay. Now, why are we walking? Well, both of us are walking for the same thing, to manage our energy. So, managing your energy, there's like several aspects of it. One of the things is you have to expend some of your energy. You actually have to invest some of your energy in getting stronger to have more energy. It's the use it or lose it principle. You work out or you lose the ability to do it. You climb stairs or you lose the ability to climb stairs. If you don't exercise, then in the future, you will have less exercise. Exercise today makes me more tired, but exercise today gives me more strength for tomorrow, or tomorrow's tomorrow. So manage your energy. Each one of us kind of has to decide, where are we going to take our limited energy? How much of it are we going to invest in creating more energy, strength? How much of it are we going to give to making money in our life? How much of it are we going to give to taking care of people in our life? How much of it are we going to give to rest and recovery? How much of it are we going to give to this passion or this purpose or this, project in my life? We've got to manage our energy toward around that. So that's kind of like where my tactic, less is more. I want to do fewer things, but to give more energy to it. But that's because recognizing that I have less energy to give. And also my energy, I get really strong energy from going deep into a topic. If you haven't figured that out, you haven't listened to enough of my topics, of my podcasts. But my husband gets energy from doing things. Okay, let's not compare each other. Let's recognize that God has made us unique and that our energy is what we have. One of the common, I think, analogies around this point is, thinking of your energy as a collection of spoons and how much you have. I have, maybe 10 spoons, maybe 20 spoons, maybe 200 spoons, but they're little units of energy that I give to different goals. So, but a while back, took a big chunk of my energy and used it to downsize my home and my possessions so that I would forevermore save energy on managing a house. That was one of the best decisions I ever made. So that was me using my energy to give me more time, leveraging my energy for a short amount of time on a project to give me more time. Are you starting to see how if we live life by our terms, then we can expand our terms and have a better life? Because that's where we're driving to. Okay. Number 3, nurturing our relationships. Listen, the quality of our life is measured by the quality of our relationships. And we get to decide what relationships we want to nurture. There is the principle in the Bible is this, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, which backs up this whole living life by your terms, and love your neighbor as yourself. And then when Jesus told this, a lawyer, I love that it's a lawyer, asked him, because they're so analytical and they're like, I think I can catch you. Yeah. But specifically, who is my neighbor? The reason a lawyer asked that is because a lawyer wants to know what's right, what's wrong, where's the line, what's the divide? And Jesus' answer is just so perfect. He's like, you're going to decide. Whoever you show love to is your neighbor. Whoever you decide to show love to is your neighbor. You decide who your neighbor is. So living life on your terms, nurturing your relationships, because part of it, we would all decide, we would all say that having a good relationship, having good relationships is the mark of a good life. Like that's one of our goals in life, is to have good relationships, great relationships. So we have to take some of that time and some of our energy to nurture those relationships. And we get to decide which relationships, I'm going to say it like this, which relationships are worth nurturing. Okay? We get some ownership there. We get to decide. And that's between us and God and the desires that He's put in our hearts. All right. So own your time, manage your energy, nurture relationships. The 4th point is make more money. Now, I already kind of went into this when I talked about how I use my time to become an expert in my subject matter, which is coaching. And so that I can help other people, so I can save them time in, their lives and their business and their relationships, so that they pay me and then I hire other people to do other things that I am not great at. That's what I'm talking about, making more money. Money is to have more money, that's a skill set. Okay. Like you have to take time to learn how to make money, to have money, to save money, to invest money, to handle money, to steward money in a good way. We also, on the money front, we then get to decide how are we going to use that money. Are we going to use it to buy back our time? Are we going to use it to hire a personal trainer to help us have more energy? Are we going to use our money to nurture relationships? There's just this false notion, I think, sometimes that money is evil. And it's like, no, money's just a neutral tool that can be used to further good or evil. And if we don't have enough money, the answer is we need more money. How are we going to get that money? We're either going to make it, or we're going to save it, or we're going to steal it, or we're going to beg it, or somebody's going to give it to us voluntarily. All those things. All right. But make more money, like as in make more money than you need. Okay. Because you have to use the first part of that first beginning part of your money to take care of your needs. And then the extra, you have options that you can decide. Make more money. That's living life on your terms. Now, some people have a great and amazing capacity to make a lot of money. I'm thinking of Donald Trump as an example. But I'm also thinking about Abraham, who was very rich and, silver and gold and cattle. I'm also thinking of Job. Maybe they have an inherent ability. Maybe God blessed them greatly for other reasons, but there is also a skill set here that we can all get better at. We can all get better at making money, saving money, spending money, investing money, all those things. So living life on your terms is taking some of your time and energy to master this arena. Not just, just like your time, your energy, your relationships, your money. Once you learn the skill set, you'll always have the skill set. I think that is one of the best lessons that I learned a few years back. I think I talked about this. Oh, in fact, I've got a podcast coming up next week about why women don't make the money they deserve. And I brought in an expert on the topic. So you're going to want to listen to that podcast. She shares some beautiful lessons and tips. But let me tell you, I did not realize this until I was in my 40s, that this was simply a skill set. And that once you learn the skill, you always have it. It's kind of like learning how to ride a bike, learning how to bake a cake. Once you know how to ride a bike, you can get to places faster than walking. Once you learn how to bake a cake, you can always be the person that brings joy to people's lives by bringing a cake to the party. Isn't that just a wonderful thing? All right, we got to move on. This is getting long. Own your time, manage your energy, nurture your relationships, make more money. And then here's the fifth one. Enjoy your success. Live life on your terms. Enjoy your success. Take a moment. The Bible literally says in Ecclesiastes that the ability to enjoy the fruits of your labor, that is a gift from God. To take the time to enjoy the work that you've done, the fruits of your labor, that is the gift. That is the point. God did not lay out this world so that all of our time on earth was suffering so that we would appreciate heaven more. Heaven's going to be amazing. Heaven's great. There's a part of us that's supposed to be bringing heaven down to earth by living kingdom principles here on earth. But if you will look back at Genesis 1, God had a plan for us that it involved enjoying life here on earth, which is why he also gave the principle: work 6 days, rest the seventh, and take the time to appreciate the fruits of your labor and the fact that God gave you the abilities that you currently have and that you can exercise those abilities to increase the fruits of your labor. I think in a nutshell, that is what living life on your terms is all about. So start by owning your time. Then manage your energy using some of that time. Nurture your relationships. Make more money so you can buy back your time, so you can save some energy, so you can give to your relationships, so you can make all those better, so you can invest for other people in their time, their energy, their relationships. And also, so you can enjoy your success. I guess at the end of this, and this has been a long one, but I think I want to wrap it up like this. It's that, you know, that saying, we catch more flies with honey than vinegar. I think that for those of us who really believe that God created this world and created us in it and created us for His glory, and we believe that part of our life is to bear testimony, to shine our light, to be a witness to others, then I think that one of the very, very, very best ways that we can attract more people to God, to have a desire for God, a hunger for God, is to show just how wonderful life is living by His principles, maximizing His strategies, using tactics that we creatively come up with that match our personality and the way that God has created us to make all those things work together. Living life by our terms shows how good life truly is under the creative plane of God. So maybe instead of, trying to convince everybody that God is a great deal and salvation is a great deal, we could just be way more persuasive in the way that we live it out. Anyway, that's my thought. That's my 2 cents. That's the way that I kind of think that the world is wrapped up. I've lived under different philosophies before that. I used to think that the whole point is for us to wear ourselves out and exhaust ourselves and to, work hard for the kingdom because work for the night is coming when we'll work no more. And I've since come around to believing that God intends for us, like His best intentions. And listen, we live in a fallen world. And sometimes there's things like war and slavery and, famine. And, we do not always have perfect opportunity to live life by our terms. It's hard to own your time if you're a slave, literal slave to somebody or literal captive. But I don't think that's God's intention. I think that God's intention is for those of us who are free to show that we are free indeed and to shine our light the brightest. And one of the ways that we can shine our life the brightest is by not apologizing for, but actually enjoying our success. All right. That's all I have on this topic. That has gone very, very long, but I hope it's helped. If you have any comments, put them in the comments below. If it has helped, take a moment to share it with your friends. Any follow-ups, you can reach me at aprilbragg.com or april@aprilbragg.com. And go out and live your best life, because that might be the best way that you can testify to the honor and glory of God.